Okja, a girl and her mutant pig face separation as it's destined for human consumption. She battles a corporation and uncovers bigger issues. In 2007 New York, Lucy Mirando reopens her factory, promising ethics and global hunger relief. To address the global food shortage, her biotech company engineered a groundbreaking creature, the super piglet. After months of rigorous research, they successfully produced 26 genetically modified piglets, which were distributed to 26 different countries. Each piglet found a home with a local farmer to determine the ideal environment for this novel species. The plan? Bring them all back to New York a decade later to establish the foundation of a game-changing livestock industry that would earn widespread public support. The Mirando Corporation invited a renowned veterinarian to serve as the company's face. Johnny Wilcox hosts a TV show where he blends various animal species for what he dubs entertainment. As the piglets grow and return to New York, a competition will be organized to determine the top super pig, with Johnny presiding over the crowning ceremony. A decade later, in the scenic mountains of South Korea, Miha assists her closest companion in removing a thorn from one of her paws. Okja, one of the genetically modified piglets, has shared her life with the girl for the past 10 years, embarking on countless adventures together every single day. The pair wanders through the forest, gathers supplies, and heads to a nearby lake to fish. They decide to nap by the water's edge. On their way back for dinner, Miha uses a rope tied to Okja's neck for a shortcut. Things take a dangerous turn when Miha slips on a rock near a cliff. Okja tries to prevent her from falling, but the steep terrain makes it challenging. In a heroic effort, Okja secures the rope to a tree and lowers herself down the cliff to save Miha, hoping her loyal friend is still alive. The girl descends the mountain in search of her loyal friend. Upon finding Okja motionless, the piglet springs back to life upon spotting a piece of fruit in Miha's hand. With their bond reaffirmed, they head home for dinner. At home, Miha savors a delicious soup prepared by her grandfather. During the meal, he reveals that members of the Mirando Corporation will visit the next day to meet Okja. Miha, believing her grandfather purchased Okja from the company as promised, isn't concerned about the visit. After dinner, the young woman leaves her room and retires to sleep next to Okja, a nightly ritual that symbolizes their unwavering connection. The following morning, Mr. Mundo is the first to reach the mountain and finds Miha diligently brushing Okja's teeth. The girl then removes a device attached to the piglet's ear and hands it over to Mr. Mundo. Through this device, he obtains vital information about Okja's health. Soon after, the rest of his team arrives, all looking worn out from the demanding hike. Johnny gleefully celebrates their successful climb. When Miha spots the veterinarian, she instantly recognizes him from his TV show, and the man is genuinely impressed to meet Okja, the remarkable piglet. Mr. Mundo visits 25 piglets, but Okja stands out as the finest super pig. Okja earns an award, and Miha seeks Johnny's autograph. They plan to visit her parents' grave. As the crew finishes with Okja, Miha sees the piglet following her, reassured of their reunion. Later, Miha waits under a tree as her grandfather tends to the grave. During their conversation, the old man hands his granddaughter a golden pig, initially claiming it's made of solid gold. However, he eventually reveals the truth, confessing that Okja will be taken away. Miha is left bewildered because she thought her grandfather had bought the piglet. But Mr. He discloses that the company didn't agree to the deal, so he used the money to purchase the golden pig instead. Furious at the news, Miha rushes back home, hoping to arrive in time to prevent her beloved friend from being taken away. However, when she reaches the tent, she realizes that Okja is no longer there. She rushes down the mountains in a desperate attempt to find her. After walking a long way along the road, Miha comes to terms with the fact that her friend is already too far away. She returns home with a rescue plan in mind, changing into suitable attire and preparing to embark on a trip to Seoul, where Okja is being taken before the journey to New York. Miha takes a part of her savings from the golden pig her grandfather gave her to fund her trip. Despite Mr. He's efforts to stop her, she is resolute in her determination to save her friend. After several hours of travel, she reaches the Mirando Company's headquarters in Korea and attempts to speak with the attendant, who ignores her. Frustrated, Miha seeks an alternative entrance, breaking through a glass wall to enter the office in search of Mr. Mundo, believing he's the only one who can help. Soon, security guards discover her and give chase. During her escape, Miha spots Okja being forcibly loaded into the back of a truck alongside Mundo. She manages to lose the security guard and chases the truck through the city streets until she catches up with it. She then leaps onto the truck's roof, nearly being crushed when it passes under a bridge. Suddenly, another truck approaches, causing a collision and sending Miha tumbling onto the road. At that moment, a group of masked vigilantes storms Okja's van to rescue the pig. Amidst the chaos, the piglet hears Miha's voice calling its name and rushes toward her. When the two reunite, they decide to escape via the subway. However, Okja unintentionally ventures into a store, causing a major disaster by knocking down shelves and destroying numerous goods. The Animal Liberation Front, ALF, comes to Okja's rescue, shielding the piglet from the Mirando Corporation guards who are determined to capture him. The group swiftly ushers Mia and Okja out of the store, concealing them inside a truck. Once everyone is safely away from the guards, Jay introduces himself and enlists Kay's help to communicate with Mia, who doesn't speak English. Jay then reveals that he leads an organization whose mission is to liberate animals from zoos and laboratories. For 4 decades, his group has exposed the cruelties inflicted upon animals by corporations and brought harm to those responsible. This time, their plan is to unveil the Mirando Corporation's heinous treatment of animals in its laboratories. To do so, they need to record everything happening inside and expose it to the media. Jay presents a black box similar to the one Okja has in her ear, with the only difference being that this new device can transmit images from inside the lab to ALF members. After replacing Okja's black box, Jay discloses that the original plan had always been to rescue Okja, replace the device, and then allow the piglet to be recaptured. However, now that Mia has entered the scene, Jay feels compelled to seek the girl's permission to proceed with the plan. He emphasizes that this strategy could save thousands of other pigs from slaughterhouses and promises to rescue Okja once more during the New York parade. Despite his plea, Mia insists that the group must return her and Okja to the mountains. Hearing this, Kay, unable to accept the idea that their efforts might have been in vain, decides to lie during the translation, claiming that Mia has agreed to proceed with the plan. The group continues their operation, dons their masks, and leaps into the river to escape the pursuing police, leaving Okja and the girl alone in the car. The next morning in New York, Lucy meets with her executives to strategize a plan to repair the tarnished reputation of the Mirando Corporation. The company's image took a hit after some of its employees attempted to prevent the young woman from rescuing her best friend following their cruel separation. Frank suggests bringing Miha to New York, and Lucy seizes the idea of reuniting the girl and the piglet on stage during the crowning of the best super pig. Johnny barges into the room, fearing being replaced by Miha as the company's representative. However, Lucy dismisses him, claiming that the veterinarian's popularity is dwindling, justifying her desire to replace him. News of the reunion spreads across the country, and Mia takes a flight from Korea directly to New York. During the journey, she studies an English book for beginners to improve her communication skills with Americans. Okja is already being transported to her cage as the FLA members ensure that the device in her ear is functioning correctly, allowing them to monitor everything around her. Upon arriving in her enclosure, Johnny orders the security guards to release Alfonso for reproduction. Meanwhile, the group of animal protection activists watches with regret, and Kay instructs them to turn off the distressing video. They all feel a profound sense of guilt for forcing Okja to endure such violence, especially Kay, who confesses that Miha never agreed to send her friend to New York. Discovering the truth, Jay is furious and attacks Kay, believing he has betrayed their cause by taking away the girl's power of choice. After a few kicks, Jay is expelled from the FLA and banished forever. Johnny continues to subject Okja to torment, using equipment to extract small samples of the creature's flesh. These meat samples are presented to experts during a tasting, who approve the product's quality. As Coronation Day arrives, the entire audience is given packets of dried meat from the genetically modified pigs. There are only a few hours left before Okja appears on stage. In Jennifer Luke's assistant's effort to convince Mia to cooperate and wear a specific uniform for her performance in front of thousands of people, Mia initially refuses. However, she changes her mind when she realizes that refusing could result in her not being able to see her friend again. As Mia goes to her room to change, she gets a pleasant surprise when she finds Jay waiting for her. He uses a series of posters to communicate, dressed as a valet, and apologizes for the suffering she's endured. He promises to rescue Okja during the performance, but he instructs Miha not to look at the screen behind her when it happens. After revealing part of his plan, Jay departs, shedding his disguise to move through the crowd unnoticed. Meanwhile, Lucy Mirando is in her dressing room, preparing for the grand opening and the announcement that will significantly impact her company's financial results. Frank, in an attempt to reassure her, visits her and offers a bouquet of flowers. He also samples the delicious super pork for the first time. When Lucy compliments the flowers, Frank reveals that Nancy, her twin sister, bought them, which angers Lucy. She has a rivalry with her sister and finds her quite unsettling, as Nancy resembles their strange father, according to Lucy. In response, Frank points out that Lucy shares many personality traits with her sisters, further aggravating her. The contest is about to commence, and Johnny takes the stage, basking in the attention of the audience and using his charisma to entertain them until the main attraction arrives. He explains that 10 years ago, 26 farmers from different countries received a super piglet to raise until adulthood. The world's most famous veterinarian recently visited each of these piglets and selected the standout among them. Now, everyone will have the honor of meeting this exceptional animal live. Johnny calls Lucy Mirando to the stage, as she is the mastermind behind the Super Pig project. When she joins him on stage, a person hidden in the power cable box begins to put the rescue plan into action. After a brief speech, Lucy welcomes Miha as her guest of honor, and together they eagerly await Okja's arrival. The girl opens her purse and takes her friend's favorite fruit, hoping to calm her down, as she knows Okja must be extremely stressed. However, to her surprise, when she exits the vehicle, the piglet ignores the food and barely acknowledges Mia's presence. After enduring abuse and violence, Okja has lost faith in humanity. As everyone watches the creature, Jay orders Blonde to display the video on the big screen. The entire audience is horrified by the treatment of these animals. While the crowd watches in shock, Jay takes the stage and asks Mia not to look back, not wanting her to witness the suffering Okja has endured. To his surprise, Johnny also ends up implicated in the videos, resulting in a significant loss of audience approval. Meanwhile, Frank is having lunch at a restaurant and, seeing the chaos the event has become, asks Nancy for help. At this moment, Okja becomes terrified by the commotion and accidentally bites Miha as the girl tries to calm her down. Jay attempts to attack the piglet, but Mia steps in to prevent her best friend from being harmed, understanding that Okja never meant to hurt her. Once they manage to reassure Okja, Jay and his group help the two escape, but they are soon apprehended by the police en route to the truck. After a struggle with the police, Jay and Miha faint, leaving Kay to find a doctor to attend to their serious injuries. When Mia wakes up, she discovers they are en route to retrieve Okja, who has been sent to a slaughterhouse along with hundreds of other pigs. Her mission is now to locate her best friend among all those animals before it's too late. However, just a few minutes into their search, they are apprehended by the guards, and Mia realizes that Okja is already on her way to be processed. Desperate, Mia enters the facility and races to find Okja in time. As she explores the facility, she is horrified by the sight of countless pig bodies hanging from the ceiling. She is already traumatized by the gruesome scene when she reaches the first stage of production, where the animals are disposed of in a bizarre manner. Okja is next in line, and Miha attempts to intervene. She presents a photo taken 10 years ago, alongside the piglet as a plea. The person in charge is about to give the order when Nancy and Frank arrive with the police, who immediately subdue the two activists who brought Miha there. Desperate, Miha pleads with Nancy to release Okja so they can return home, but Nancy refuses, viewing the animal as nothing more than a commodity. In response, Mia offers the golden pig she received from her grandfather as payment for Okja. She insists on buying the animal alive, and after confirming the object is made of solid gold, they reach an agreement. Nancy accepts the deal, celebrating the sale of the first super piglet produced by Mirando Industries. She instructs her employees to safely escort Mia and the merchandise home. Once her friend is freed, Mia rushes to hug Okja, and they both leave the place relieved. Along the way, they encounter numerous other pigs who haven't been as fortunate as Okja, and they can see the sadness in their eyes, knowing their fate is sealed. As they continue on their way, they witness a piglet lifting the electric fence so her baby can slip through. Mia quickly realizes that this is a cry for help from a desperate mother trying to save her child. When the guards hear the noise and look back, they don't understand what has transpired, as Okja manages to conceal the baby in her mouth. Weeks pass since the two friends returned home, and the baby pig now lives with them. Despite everything that happened, Mia harbors no grudge against her grandfather and has forgiven him for his actions. The small family enjoys a peaceful life in the mountains of Korea, hoping that someday, no creature will have to endure the ordeal that Okja experienced.